Bring conscious awareness to those parts of your body that are tense and choose to relax them, choose to release that tension. I'm breathing in. I'm breathing out. I'm breathing in. I'm breathing out. Take one more full, deep breath in and hold your breath in for just a beat or two. And then let it out with a sigh. Let your eyes gently open and then lift your hands off your lap. Stretch your arms up overhead as if you're waking up from a nap, stretching one side a little more and then the other side a little bit more. Maybe a little twist in the spine as well. So we're just kind of stretching one side and then the other. Good, and then let the arms come all the way down. Let's come up on the toes and then come back on the heels and lift the toes up off the floor. So lifting the heels and the toes, we're just going to go back and forth a few times here with the feet. Good. And then just the right foot. So take your right foot back a little bit so your heel's a little bit behind your knee. You're going to come up on the toes and then see if you can go over and stretch the top of the toes. So you might need to bring your foot back even more. And then we'll go back and we'll stretch the bottom of the foot. So we're just going up and over. And this is mostly to stretch the front of the lower leg. When you come over the top of the foot, you should feel it here in the front of the lower leg or the shin. Most of us think of the lower leg in the front as the shin and the lower leg in the back as the calf. So breathing in, breathing out. Good. Okay, and then same thing on the other side. So come up on the toes, go up and over and back. And if you have your shoes on, just do the best you can. If you've got a little issue with your toes or your foot that don't allow you to come up and over, just again, do the best you can here. Good. All right, and then bring that foot back down. So with your feet about hip width apart, lift all your toes up, but keep the balls of your feet on the floor. So these are the balls of your feet right here. It's where your toes kind of sprout out of your foot. You're going to lift all your toes, spread them out really wide, look down there, and notice who's independent and who's codependent. Right? And then see if you can press just your big toes down and then lift them up. And we're going to continue to do that. So breathing as we just press and lift and press and lift. It's a good way to get the day going is to start with the toes, right? Just get a little bit of movement, a little bit of independent movement in the toes. And then lift them all up. And now keep the big toes lifted and press all those little toes down and then lift and press down and lift. And breathe as you're doing this, right? So no matter what your toes are capable of doing, you still can breathe in and out, smooth, easy, and round, right? All right, and then all the toes come down to the floor. Make sure there's as much space between your toes as you can get. And again, if you've got some toes that kind of overlap the others, again, just do the best you can to keep the toes as independent as possible. You're going to keep all your little toes on the floor and lift just your big toes and lower and lift and lower and breathe and feel all of that that's going on in your toes and the bottoms of your feet, tops of your feet, maybe into your ankles. And then big toes stay down, and we're going to lift all the little ones and then lower and lift and lower and breathe in and breathe out. And you'll notice maybe some toes are more independent here when you lift them. Maybe one foot is a little different than the other. You might have more independence on one foot than the other. Good. And then relax all of that. Good. Now take a breath in, let it out with a sigh. Great. Extend your right leg, have your heel on the floor, and then we're going to tap the toes and the heel. And you can do this by either keeping your foot on the floor, if that works best for you, or you can lift and tap, or you can do a complete air tap and not even touch the floor, right? So you can do this without even touching the floor. And then at some point we're going to circle around. So nice big circles. Notice any noise in there. So ankles can be a little crunchy. And reverse direction. That's a scientific term. Go to any doctor, they'll say that. Crunchy ankles. That's your diagnosis, crunchy ankles. So put your heel on the floor, and then we're going to rotate the whole leg in and out. And as you're rotating the whole leg, go up with your hand, go up to like where your hip crease is. Just make sure you can feel it all the way up there. So in other words, you don't want to just be rotating at your ankle. So some people have super flexibility in their ankles, and they don't have as much flexibility up here. Okay. Next time your toes are straight up toward the ceiling, we're going to hold here. Bring your hands alongside your body and press down ever so slightly so you feel some lengthening in your spine. Pull your belly in. And then we're going to very slowly lift that right heel up off the floor and then very slowly lower down without leaning back in your chair, right? So the hands here kind of keep us in integrity. So we're lifting and lowering. Now tighten these muscles right here above the knee. These are your quadriceps muscles. Keeping the quadriceps muscles strong as you lift and lower helps to support your knee. And if anybody's had knee surgery, an injury, this is an exercise that you'll get to kind of support that knee as well as your hip. So they do this for the hip as well. So the next time that you lift that leg, we're going to hold here. Now make sure your shoulders aren't way up here. Make sure you're not rounding through your back. Make sure you're breathing round and smooth. And can we hold for 3 long, slow, deep breaths? I'm thinking we might be able to do that. So there's 1. And there's 2. And there's 3. And now before you lower down, can you take 3 breaths to make that trip down with the heel, right? So 3 breaths to actually lower. And once your heel gets on the floor, bend that knee, bring the foot in, and give that thigh a little massage. So isn't that nice? I tricked you into holding for 6, which was great. All right, let's go to the other side. We're going to have the heel on the floor to start if you want. Tap, heel and toe. Again, you can do this with the foot completely on the floor. You can do it by lifting and tapping the heel and then tapping the toes, or you can do a complete air lift and not touch at all. Keep your knee as straight as possible. So again, we're using these quadriceps muscles here, keeping them nice and strong. And then let's circle around, making a little music with this ankle. Crunch, crunch. And reverse direction. Excellent. Keep breathing, nice and smooth and round. Hands here if that's helping to support your back. And then heel on the floor. We're going to rotate in and out the leg. From way up here at the hip, just make sure you can feel that rotation up here, that you're not using just your ankle. Breathing in, breathing out. Now notice, do you have more range when you go out or more range when you go in? So some of us are going to have more range on the out, some of us are going to have more range on the in, right? Okay, next time your toes are straight up, you're going to hold here. Watch those shoulders down away from the ears. Spine nice and tall, belly in. We're going to lift and lower and breathe. So nice and slow. Try to lift and lower without leaning back in your chair. If this gives you any problem with your back, even having your hands here, you can slide your hands back a little bit and lean into that. So there's all kinds of ways that we can make accommodations if you're having a back issue. So the next time you lift, let's hold and breathe. Nice strong quadriceps muscles here. Nice strong thighs. Breathing in, breathing out. Let's see if we can count to 3. And you don't have to have it lifted very high. You could be off the floor by a ½ inch. That's fine. So just so that what I really want to do is make sure we're engaging these quadriceps muscles here so that you're getting a little stronger. I don't know where we are in the count. I'm going to say we're at 3. Does that sound reasonable? Okay. 10. Okay. So we'll just take 3 to lower now, right? So we'll just go really slowly, taking 3 to lower. And it's a lot harder to control that on the way down. When you get your heel to the floor after you've gotten your 3, you can bend your knee, give that thigh a little bit of a massage here too. Okay, so the legs have woken up a little bit. We've got the quadriceps going, we've got the lower legs going. Let's get a little movement here now for the knees. So holding on to the chair a little bit here, we're just going to take one knee. Let's start with the right if you want. If you want to start with the left, that's fine. So we're just bending and extending. Bending and extending. And when you extend, let's kind of hold for a moment, really squeeze those muscles. And when you bend, let's see if we can pull that heel under the chair a little bit more. So extend and hold and breathe and pull that heel back. So breathing in, breathing out. Nice and slow. Notice what you feel and where you feel it. One more time. Good. And then we're going to put that foot right down on the floor. Go right to the other side. So just a really nice little swing here to start. So we get that range. Notice any difference side to side. Next time you extend, really extend, engaging quadriceps muscles. When you bend, pull your heel under. That engages your hamstring muscles in the back. So extending, slowly bending, really pull that heel under. Extend, bend. One more time, extend and bend. Good, bring that foot back down to the floor. Okay, so give both thighs a little bit of a massage right up into the hips perhaps, maybe even into the buttocks and the low back if that's where you're feeling it, and go all the way down to your knees. All right, and then scoot over to the right side of your chair just a little bit. So you want to have the right side of your hip kind of on the edge of the chair, and you're still facing forward. So we're going to take this right leg, lift it up just a little bit, and then go all the way out and down. And we'll do the same thing coming back. So now once again, I like to hold my hand on the chair because it just reminds me to keep my back tall instead of slouching to get that leg up, because that's a really common thing we do. When we don't have enough strength in the muscles here in the hip and the thigh, we use the back. And the way we do that is to do this, right? So that uses the back. That just kind of overexerts a part of the body that is, quite frankly, already overloaded for most of us. So 25. Yeah, see, I get talking. I don't know where I am. So we'll go out to the side and let's kind of hold here. So if you're doing an extra one, good for you. All right, so we're going to go in with the knee and then pull the knee back and in and back. So as you let the knee come in, completely relax as best you can. All the muscles around your hip, your thigh, your knee. And when you pull the knee back toward the back wall, really actively engage the muscles in the outer part of the hip and the outer part of your buttocks, which is your glutes, right? So we're really pulling that knee back and then relaxing and letting it come forward. Now, for some people, there's going to be a big movement. So I've got a pretty big movement on this side. But if I had a hip replacement here, I might have much less movement. I might have much less range. Guys are generally going to have a little less range here as well, just because of the shape of their hips, the orientation. And there's this really cool thing that you wouldn't know unless you had an x-ray. Some people have what's called a Q socket in their hip, which means instead of a ball going into a kind of a semi-round circle, that's got a little tail on it, so you get much more range. So you see people who can stand with their feet out to the sides like ballerinas. I'm willing to bet they got Q sockets. I think that's kind of a requirement. So the next time you pull your knee out to the side, we're going to hold here and breathe, and make sure your foot is underneath your knee. So you don't want it way in here, you don't want it way out there. You want to have it somewhere underneath the knee. Take your left hand, bring it to the seat of your chair, slide it back a little bit, and then take your right hand over to that left knee. Lengthen your spine and very gently twist to the left. And as you do, don't let that right knee come forward. So you're still holding that right knee toward the wall behind you. It's like you're trying to touch the wall behind you with your knee, and you're trying to twist and look at your knee by looking over your left shoulder. That would be flexibility like crazy. Breathe in, breathe out. And then slowly unwind. Excellent. Okay, let's walk that foot in. We're going to go right over to the other side. So take a trip to the other side of your chair. Again, facing forward still. You just want the side of your hip kind of over on that edge. I'm going to keep my hand here again. It just reminds me of where I am in space, because that's something we lose when we have habits. Like if this is my habit, I lose my proprioceptive ability to say I'm sitting straight up, because this feels like straight up, because this is how I sit all the time. So having a little cue, like having your hand on the chair, just reminds you, oh, I have all that extra length in my spine I didn't even know I had. So we'll start with a little lift and step over on this side. Same thing. I didn't mention on the other side, but if your leg is really not up for the task today, you can always just slide your foot on the floor as well. And even if you can only get your foot lifted like a ½ inch off the floor, that's okay. If you've got the range and the ability to go up a little higher, go ahead. But just make sure you're not losing the integrity of your spine to get there, right? So if I lean over, I can get my leg way up, but I can't get it up that high if I sit up nice and straight. Breathing in, breathing out. Forgot to mention that too, right? So that's important, that the breath stay round and smooth. Let's go out one more time. So the next time you're out to the side, let's kind of hold it there. Good. And then we're just going to drop the knee in. So relax all the muscles around the hip, and then engage these muscles on the outside of the hip and the outside of the buttocks really strongly, and pull that knee toward the back wall, and then let it come forward and pull. And again, we're just breathing in and out. Your foot, your ankle is roughly underneath your knee, right? So you don't want to have your foot way out here. You don't want to have it way in here. Just somewhere in this range. It doesn't have to be exact. So you want to have a little bit of a challenge when you pull that knee toward the back wall, where you can feel it in the outside of the hip. And the next time you do that, I'm going to invite you to hold it there. So you're pulling that knee as strongly as you can toward that back wall. That means that you're really engaging the muscles here in the outside of the hip and the outside of the buttocks. Slide your right hand along that right edge of the chair. Take your left hand over to that right leg. Lengthen your spine before you twist, and then we'll just gently twist out to the right. And as you do, don't let that left knee come forward. So if the left knee starts to come forward, give it a really nice strong tug toward the back wall. Breathing in, breathing out. Notice how the breath moves in your body in this twisted position. And then slowly come back around. Excellent. Let's walk that foot over. Come right back to the center of your chair. We're going to do still a little bit more work on the outer part of the hip and the outer part of the thigh. So if you can, cross your right ankle on top of your right knee. If that doesn't work for you, if that's uncomfortable, or you can't get your knee there, or you've been told by the doc not to do it, have your ankles crossed, right? So you can cross ankle on top of ankle. So I'll demonstrate with my ankle on top of my knee. And now sitting up nice and tall, we're going to take that knee and pull it down toward the floor, right? So don't push with your hand. You're actually using the muscles here in the outer part of the leg, and then relax. So it looks exactly the same here. So we're pulling down and then relaxing. Pulling down and relaxing. So you guys stay where you are, but I'm just going to show you. It's the same movement that we did here. You can get that? It's the same movement. We're using the same muscles, but in a little different way. We've got the leg oriented a little bit differently here, right? So this is a little more challenging, right? So one more time, we're going to pull that knee down. Make sure you're lengthening through your spine so the shoulders are relaxed. The breath is smooth. If you're kind of slouching like this with the leg up here, just put the leg down here. That'll give you better range. So I can feel it in through here, even when I'm crossed ankle on top of ankle. So that works fine. Breathe in, breathe out. And then relax that. Okay, so now let's see if we can cross knee on top of knee. Right? If you can get your knee on top of your knee, that's great. If you can't, keep it at the ankle. And now what we're going to do is squeeze those inner thighs together, right? So here we are, knee on top of knee. It looks like this. I'm squeezing my inner thighs together. Ankle on top of ankle, squeezing the inner thighs together. So by squeezing the inner thighs together, engaging the muscles here, I'm actually releasing the muscles. Whoops. Whoops. Okay, it never even shut off. That's great. I'm releasing the muscles on the outside, and those are the muscles that we've just done a ton of work on. So we're releasing those muscles. So we're squeezing and releasing, squeezing and releasing. And then we're going to squeeze and hold, right? So as we squeeze and hold, sit up nice and tall. Take both hands to that top thigh. If you're crossed down here at the ankle, just place your both of your hands right here. And we're just going to come forward a little bit like you're trying to bring your belly button down onto your hands. And then come back up, right? Breathe in, breathe out. So we're coming forward, keep the shoulders back. Watch that you're not leading with your chin. So keep your chin tucked in slightly as you come forward, right? So it doesn't matter how far forward you come. You might come forward a half inch. You might come forward 6 inches. One more time, we're going to come forward. We're going to hold as we come into this forward position, still squeezing the inner thighs together. Still breathing in and out, nice and smooth and round. I know you're breathing in and out, but how efficient is it? How smooth is it? Are you holding your breath? Does some of this cause some breath holding? Does it cause a little hitch in your breathing? And then you're going to come all the way up. Excellent. Uncross your legs. Bring both feet to the floor next to one another. Place your hands on your thighs. Sit up nice and tall and close your eyes. Breathing in and out deeply. Notice that right side and left side. And after noticing for a moment, you can let your eyes open. And now we're going to take the left ankle and cross it on top of the right knee. Ankle on top of ankle is absolutely fine here as well. So you can always do this option with the ankle on top of the ankle. Same thing, we're going to engage the muscles here in the outer part of the hip and thigh as we pull that knee down toward the floor and then relax. And pull down and relax. And again, I'm going to do it here, and notice I feel like I can sit up much straighter when I cross ankle on top of ankle on this side. I have better range on the other side with my ankle on top of my knee. And that's really common, that we have one side that is more flexible than the other in terms of how the hip is oriented. And again, if you've had hip surgery, if you've had a replacement, anything, if you've had an injury, that can affect the range in that side as well. So the next time that you pull down, we're going to hold here and breathe. And if you've got your ankle on top of your ankle, we're just going to kind of hold one hand on each leg. If you're crossed here, you can have both hands on the leg. Breathe in, breathe out. Excellent. And then relax that. And now we're going to slide the knee on top of the knee, if that works for you. If that doesn't, ankle on top of ankle. So we've done some work for this outer hip a little bit, and now we want to give it a little bit of a stretch. So by having this, we're going to squeeze those inner thighs together. When you squeeze the inner thighs together, that relaxes the muscles here on the outside, and then relax. So breathe in, breathe out, just squeeze and relax. So muscles often work, well, muscles will always work in opposing groups. Right? So when you're strengthening and tightening one set of muscles, you have to have muscles on the other side of the bone or on the other side of the structure that are relaxing and lengthening. Right? That's what makes us able to do multiple and complex kinds of movements, is having all of these different muscles that work in opposition to each other. It's kind of fascinating. Okay, so the next time that you squeeze, we're going to hold and breathe. And then we're going to hinge forward like you're trying to bring your belly button down onto your hands, if you have your hands right here on your thigh, and then come back up. Breathe in, breathe out. Nice, slow, steady breaths. So just coming forward and back. And you might be feeling that increase in the stretch here in the side of the hip. Keep squeezing the inner thighs together. Now don't lose that. Watch your chin, that you're not leading with your chin, that your shoulders aren't up by your ears, right? So that's nice and relaxed. And how about one more time we come forward? Good, and then come all the way back. Excellent. All right, uncross your legs. Bring your feet parallel to each other. Hands rest on your thighs. Close your eyes, sit up nice and tall. Breathing in, breathing out. Notice your legs from your hips all the way to your toes. And notice which parts of your legs you feel the most. Which parts of your legs are giving you the most sensation right now? And it may be the same on each side, or it may be different on each side. There may be one particular thing that's really calling your attention more than the others. Let's take a breath in, let it out with a sigh. Let your eyes open. All right, and then let's take the hands off the lap and we'll do a little work for the fingers. So fingers tend to be a little noisy as well, so you might be hearing some noise in there. Notice how your hands are working this morning. Do they feel like they've got good range? Do your fingers feel nice and relaxed and comfortable? Or do you have one or two or maybe several that are a little cranky or a little achy? And then the next time that you extend your hands, let's kind of hold here. So you've got your little fingers and your thumbs as far away from each other as they can be. Your breath is round and smooth, so there's no holding of your breath. And you're not holding your hands up with your shoulders, right? So your shoulders are way down here. So we're just going to circle the thumbs. Now notice your thumbs. Notice how they move around, right? They have all this great range of motion. And then extend the thumbs out. And then let's see if we can circle the first fingers a little bit. And just kind of take a look at each hand. Notice how those first fingers work. Usually they're fairly independent. And then lengthen those first fingers. Now take your middle fingers and see if you can circle those. And look at those middle fingers and notice if there's a little codependency with the third finger, right? Yeah. There's a little tendon between those two fingers, by the way, for most of us, that connects them, unlike other fingers. And then extend that. Now let's take that ring finger, do the same thing. You might find a little less codependency with its second finger, right? Or maybe you find more. Okay, and then last finger, if you've got one. Just in case. Don't want anybody to feel out of place, right? And then reverse direction. And breathe. Excellent. Okay, now just kind of wriggle your fingers a little bit here. Okay, and then let's take the right hand and we're going to press it out like you're saying stop, and take your other hand and pull back on the 4 fingers, or on as many fingers as you have. Just don't grab your thumb. Okay, so we don't want to grab the thumb. Now notice if you're way up here, drop that arm down, right? Relax that shoulder. Create some space between your upper teeth and lower teeth. Yeah, no gritting. No tooth gritting. Breathing in, breathing out, and then we're going to bring the fingers down toward the floor, press on the back of the hand. Once again, notice we tend to do this, right? Especially if it's uncomfortable, the stretch, we tend to do this. Let that come down and just don't push back quite so much on that. So if you bend your elbow, notice how that stretch changes. And then if you straighten your elbow, right? So just notice, where do you feel the stretch more with the elbow bent? Where do you feel the stretch more with the elbow straightened? So with the elbow bent, you're going to feel it mostly in that forearm down into the hand. With the elbow straightened, you might feel it creep up over the elbow, right? So whichever place gives you the most sensation, stay there. So for some people, that's going to mean, wow, that elbow really, this part needs a little more of a stretch. I'm going to keep my elbow straight. For other people, it might be more the wrist. So it's going to be different for each of us, right? So if you're not sure, go back and forth a couple of times and just find that sweet spot. Which one gives you the most sensation? And know that it's probably going to be different on this side than it is on the other. So it's just something to be aware of. Breathe in, breathe out. Don't push so hard that it's hard to breathe. You want to find that edge where the sensation is strong but not overpowering, right? That's the edge of pain. That's where sensation, where discomfort becomes pain. So we never want to push into pain. We just want to push into that discomfort. Or actually, I don't want to say push. We want to lean into the discomfort, right? So you lean into discomfort. That's what creates some change. And then release that and circle that wrist around a little bit. Okay, and then take the other hand, extend it out. Pull back on the fingers, not the thumb. Breathe in, breathe out. Feel that stretch in the fingers, feel the stretch in the palm of the hand. For a lot of us, we might at some point have difficulty straightening the fingers, especially people who do fine work like any kind of craft work or computer work. If you write a lot, so using a pen or pencil can create some stiffness and tightness in the hands. And this is a great way to address that. So then let the fingers come down, and we're going to press on the back of the hand. So once again, notice, don't let that shoulder come way up here. Relax that down, let your teeth kind of come apart a little bit. And then let's just explore. So a little bend to the elbow, and then a straightening of the elbow. And kind of do your own little inquiry in there. Where do you feel most sensation, right? Is it with the elbow straight, or is it with the elbow bent? And when you've identified which position gives you the most sensation, I'll invite you to hang out there for a little bit. So just kind of pressing back. Again, it doesn't have to be like all or nothing, right? It doesn't have to be like the biggest stretch you can possibly get. Just something that's creating enough sensation that maybe there's a little discomfort in there. So with discomfort, you usually can still do that round, smooth breath. That's a good indication if you're right on the edge. If you're having a hard time breathing, that's usually that you've pushed over the edge a little bit too far. And then let that go, and we're going to just circle that wrist around. Okay, let's take the palms of the hands together. So we're doing a little bit more with the wrists, and we'll get the elbows in here as well. So keeping the heels of the hands, right? So these are the heels of your hands, by the way. You're going to keep the heels of your hands together. Keep all your fingers together. So let me say that a different way. Keep all the fingers of your right hand and all the fingers of your left hand together, right? But spread your fingers apart like that, right? So you got a little space in there, or the best you can. So those are the three things. Heels of the hands together, left hand, right hand together, and fingers stretched apart a little bit. And breathe. All right. And then we're going to bring the hands down as far as they'll go, right to that spot where the heels want to come apart. Right? So I could go down a little farther if I let my heels come apart, but I'm going to keep the heels together. So keep pushing the hands together. Don't let the fingers come in like that. You want to keep the fingers apart. Push down, push down, push down. You should feel it here in the shoulders and the arms. Everybody feeling that in the shoulders and the arms? Are you breathing in, breathing out? Yeah. Come all the way up. And now keeping the hands together, see if you can get your elbows close. So come up a little higher. Good. Press the elbows together. So if your elbows aren't together, that's okay. Keep pressing the elbows toward one another as much as you can. You might even feel a little shaking in there. Everybody getting that? Feeling that in the shoulders and the arms? Good. Breathe in, breathe out. And then relax. Come back to neutral, but keep your hands together. So we're still in that position where the heels of the hands are together. The right fingers and left fingers are together in pairs, and then there's space between the fingers, right? So we're going to do that again. So breathing in, breathing out. Let's bring the hands, the heels of the hands down, 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 like you could place them on your lap, right? So you're pressing down, 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 but don't let the heels come apart. So you want to keep everything together as best you can. Keep pushing down, and as you're pushing down, you're actually pushing in on your hands at the same time. You all got that, right? And notice where you feel that. Breathe in, breathe out. You should be feeling a bit of tension here in the arms, yes. A little less tension in the jaw, perhaps, if you bring a little more space between the teeth. Good. And then release that, and we're going to come all the way up. Okay. So see if you can get the elbows close together or together, and then push. So we're pushing the palms of the hands. So it's from your fingers all the way to your elbows. You're pushing together. Push, push, push. Breathe, right? So push and breathe at the same time. If by pushing you're not able to breathe, you want to back off a little on the pushing. Good. One more breath. Excellent. And then release and come down. Great. Let's release the hands. Circle around a little bit. Whew. So we did a little strength training there just by using the resistance of our own body to get that strength training going. Reverse direction of your circles. Okay. So a little more in the strength training side of things. Bring your arms out to the sides. All right. Stretch out through your fingers, so lengthen your arms. And look out over your right fingers. And see if you can lengthen them maybe another 1/4 inch. And then look out over your left fingers, and again, see if you can lengthen them about another 1/4 inch. And then come back to center with your head. So now your arms are a whole 1/2 inch longer from right fingertips to left fingertips, right? So you're probably touching the person next to you if you're there. Okay, so make some light fists with your hands. All right, so we've lost that 1/2 inch. Now imagine you've got 5 pounds in your right hand and 5 pounds in your left hand, right? Feel your arms get heavy. Breathe in, breathe out. Try not to keep your arms lifted by bringing your shoulders up to your ears, but what we're going to do now is slowly bend the elbows and bring those 5 pounds into the shoulders. Slow, slow, slow. Squeeze when you get the elbows in, when you get the hands in. And then slowly extend, same thing. Keep squeezing the muscles. So we're squeezing the muscles in the upper arms. Breathe in, breathe out. So you got 5 pounds, right? And we're just doing some nice, easy, gentle work for those biceps muscles. Those are the Popeye muscles here on the top, right? And the triceps muscles. Remember I said they work in opposing groups? So the muscles here in the back of the arm, those are your triceps muscles. So when you're extending your arms like this, you're engaging those triceps muscles, they're getting stronger, and you're lengthening the biceps muscles. When you're bending your arm, you're strengthening these biceps muscles and lengthening these triceps muscles. There will be a test at the end of this, so make sure you got that. Right? All right, 26. 30. You like how I count? So once you get to 30, have your hands here, right? And now we're going to go up overhead. So you still got 5 pounds in the right, 5 pounds in the left. We're going to go really strong. So push up. So you've got these weights and you're lifting the weights way up. And now really slowly bring the weights down. Bring your elbows way down. You got 5 pounds in each hand, right? So bring the elbows down and then we're going to lift up. Good. Right? Keep breathing. Now, as you're doing this, if you're imagining 5 pounds in each hand, see if you can feel your chest muscles getting involved when you lift and your back muscles involved when you lower down. Not just everything here in the tops of the shoulders, right? So we're recruiting every available muscle. We got to get 10 pounds overhead. That means all hands on deck. Right? Good. Are you breathing? Right. What kind of yoga class is this when breathing is an afterthought? All right, and one more time we're going to go up overhead. Great job, everybody. And then down. And then just drop your weights. Shake everything out. Let your arms rest. Bring your hands to your lap. Close your eyes. And I want you to really feel from the inside your hands, your wrists, forearms, elbows, those beautiful biceps and triceps in the upper arms, your shoulders, your chest, and your back. As you're inhaling and exhaling, just keep noticing all these parts from your fingertips to your back. And let your eyes open. All right, let's take that right arm, sweep it over to the left. We're going to do a little stretching now. So we did some resistance training. Now we're just going to do a little bit of stretching here. So we're pulling that arm over. We're stretching the muscles here in the outer part of the shoulder and the outer part of that upper arm. Turn and look out over your right shoulder. Do a little yes movement with your head. So you're just lifting and lowering the chin. Good. Great. And then head comes back to center. We're going to switch arms. Take your left arm over to the right. So same thing. We're stretching out here. Turn and look out over your left shoulder. Lift and lower the chin. Breathing in, breathing out. Nice and smooth and steady. Great. Bring your head back to center. Release that arm. Take your right arm behind your back. Grab hold of your hand or your wrist or whatever you can get back there. Give it a little pull over to the left And then drop your left ear to your left shoulder. And we're just going to do a no movement with the head. So turning the nose down and up. Again, just breathing in, breathing out. Smooth, easy breath. Great. Head comes back to center. Release that arm. We're going to sweep the left arm behind the back. Take hold of the hand or the wrist back there. Give it a really gentle pull over to the right. Take your right ear to your right shoulder. And we're going to do that no movement. So turning the nose down and up. Breathing in, breathing out. Good, and then head comes back to center. Release that arm. Take your right arm up overhead. Take your left hand and using your thumb and your second finger, you're going to make a little bracelet around your wrist if you can. And then see if you can pull that arm up. Pull that up and then lean slightly to the left. Now don't lean so much that your right cheek lifts off the chair. Breathe in, breathe out. And then switch sides and switch hands. So you make a little bracelet with the right hand around the left. Breathing in, breathing out. And we'll go the other side. So left hand makes a bracelet around the right wrist. And you pull over to the right. And then right hand makes a bracelet around the left wrist. And we go over to the right a little bit. So go back and forth just a couple more times. Breathing in, breathing out. If this is too much for your shoulders, come down to the front. That's okay. Do the best you can with that. Good. And then we can just relax the arms. Great. Let's roll those shoulders forward, up, back, and down a few times. All right. And now focusing a little bit on the spine. So we've done all kinds of work for from the fingers to the toes, but we skipped over kind of the middle part of the body. So we're going to get to that middle part of the body now. So starting with your neck, which is the part of your spine that goes from the top of your shoulders, it actually goes up into the back of your head a little bit. The last or the first two vertebrae in your spine on the very top are actually up into your skull a little bit. So what we're going to do is just drop the chin to the chest. Breathe in, breathe out. Relaxing and releasing the muscles in the upper back and the back of the neck. And this can be really hard to get a feel for, especially if you hold a lot of tension in the back of your neck. So imagine, if you can, your chin just coming right into that little notch between your collarbones, right? Imagine you had so much flexibility in the back of your neck and your upper back that your chin could actually rest right in the little notch. And then slowly lift your head up. Now as you lift your head up, take your chin back toward the wall behind you. So I guess another way to describe this is, imagine you're trying to make a double chin, right? So you're trying to tuck your chin. If you take one of your fingers, place it on your chin, and push straight back. It should feel really weird. And then relax, right? So that just helps guide you, right? So when you come back, it should feel like you can't swallow very well, like you've got a little obstruction in your throat there, and then come back. So we'll do that a few more times. Coming back. And what you'll notice, if you're using just the muscles in your neck to do this, you'll notice that up closer to the back of your head, that's the upper part of your cervical spine, of your neck. If you're tight there, you should start to feel a little something. It might be uncomfortable. Are you breathing in and breathing out? Smooth and easy. And then relax that. Good. Notice your head on top of your shoulders. Notice what it feels like. If you feel a little bit of tension here because your head doesn't quite know where it's supposed to be because we just changed something a little bit, do a little bit of a bobblehead. Maybe do a little yes movement or a little no movement. And just see if you can orient yourself a little bit. So we're going to go through that little exercise again. And what I wanted to just kind of explain a little bit is that for most of us, especially as we age, we end up in this position. So I'm really exaggerating, but so we end up with this kind of rounding of the spine, and then in order, because we're such visual creatures, human beings are like so visual, like if you ask people which sense, if you have to lose one, sight is the last one anybody wants to lose. They'd rather be deaf, they'd rather not be able to taste anything, but certainly not sight. So what happens is if I start to round through my spine like this, if I keep a neutral neck, I'm looking at the ground. Can you see how that would be a real problem, right? So instead, I do this. So instead of using my whole spine to be upright and to look around, I end up like this. And if I straighten my spine, that's the position of my neck, right? So some of you might be able to relate to that. Short in the back of the neck and long in the front of the neck. I find myself in this position if I've been driving for a while. Anybody notice that? Because the car seat is oriented to, it's manufactured to protect us in the event of an accident, right? So the worst thing for us in an accident is if we're upright, because we'd go forward. So the car seats are manufactured to get us into this position, so if there is an accident, we can withstand the impact of a airbag. Thank you. I can see it, but I couldn't get the word. So it's to help us there. So if you're driving for a while, you tend to kind of mold yourself into the seat. And my neck gets really uncomfortable after about a half hour in the car. I'm like, oh yeah, because I've become my car seat. So, my body is not comfortable with that. So all that to say is that we get some tension here in the back of the neck, and it will generally transfer up into those top two vertebrae in the spine, and that can create all that noise and clicking and grinding kind of noise that happens when you go to turn your head. So two of the movements that we can do to counter that is bringing the chin to the chest. So let's do that again. And this is one of those things where this is not an active exercise. So when you do this, just hang out in this position for a bit. And as you hang out, just become more and more aware of the muscles in the back of your neck and the muscles of your upper back. And as you're breathing in and out, that round, smooth breath, as you're breathing in and out, see if you can relax those shoulder muscles a little more. Relax the upper back muscles a little more. Let the neck just be relaxed. And just the act of breathing in and breathing out helps to facilitate the relaxation here in those upper back and neck muscles. And then slowly lift your head up. And I say slowly because if you go too quickly, sometimes it can be a little disorienting. So just notice what you feel in the back of your neck right now. And now that second movement that's really effective at lengthening the muscles in the back of the neck and freeing up those first two vertebrae is to push the chin toward the back wall, or to try and make that double chin. And again, this is just a good little tool, having your finger here, just push back. So your chin actually comes down a little bit as it goes back. It doesn't come up. In other words, you're not pushing up, you're pushing down and back and relaxing. So you can continue to use your finger there, or if you kind of got that sensation, because this is a tough one to get, just keep pushing the chin back and then relaxing. Breathing in, breathing out. And then push the chin back. Don't hike your shoulders now, right? So the shoulders have to be really relaxed here. Hold the chin back and down. And think about switching your attention to the back of your neck, up into the back of your skull. See if you can feel a little bit of lengthening there. And it might not feel like that word might not come to you, but see if you can feel something there. And then relax that. Okay, so just a little bit of a bobblehead here. Just to reorient your head on top of your shoulders, maybe a little yes or a little no. And then if you don't have your eyes closed, give them a break now. Close your eyes. Shoulders right above your hips, head right on top of your shoulders, jaw relaxed, face relaxed, hands and feet relaxed. Breathing deep into your belly. On the inhalations, the belly softly expands, and on the exhalations, engage your abdominal muscles ever so slightly and pull your navel in toward your spine. Breathing in and out gently. As you're breathing in and out gently, notice any place in your body that you're still holding on to some tension. And choose to let go of that tension. As you're breathing deeply in and out and letting the tension wash out of your body, notice any tension in your mind. Thoughts are tension. Thoughts of the past, thoughts of the future. One thought or many thoughts. Just notice the level of tension in your mind. And to help facilitate releasing the tension in the mind, as you breathe in, repeat in your mind, I'm breathing in. And as you're breathing out, repeat in your mind, I'm breathing out. So with every inhalation, you're repeating the phrase, I'm breathing in. And with every exhalation, repeating that phrase, I'm breathing out. Washing away the tension in the mind by repeating, I'm breathing in, I'm breathing out, with every inhalation and every exhalation. And let go of that phrase. Let your breath return to its natural rhythm in and out. Taking a really full, deep breath, hold it for a moment, and then let it out with a sigh. If it feels right, maybe take your hands together and take a moment in gratitude to yourself, to your body for showing up, to your breath for being your ever-present companion, and to your mind for being flexible in doing these exercises. If you like, you can open your eyes and maybe just say hello to all these wonderful faces. Yeah. Enjoy the rest of your day. I will not see you next week, but I will see you the week after. So no class. We don't have class next week, so I just wanted to make sure I said that before we left today. So I'll see you in 2 weeks, and I'll check in. I'll collect homework then. Oh, that's right. Thank you. Yes, so, not next Tuesday, but in 2 Tuesdays, I'll be here doing a chair class at, I think it's 4:15, on Tuesday, the 19th. And you're all going to the Cape, so you can't come. Okay. Well, thank you for letting me know that. So we don't have yoga next week, but then we have 2 yoga classes the following week, so yay.